Hello my beautiful little unicorns, and welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time that I've been given the pleasure to welcome you onto my channel, I'm Vanessa Samina and welcome to the fam. So you guys, it is time for another monthly prediction. So today's prediction is all about September of 2019. This is the general prediction. I always include a singles prediction each month as well. So if you are single, then make sure that you look out for that. It always goes up shortly after my general predictions. So you guys, before I get into the 4 groups that I have prepared for you to choose from, I just wanted to let you guys know that if you feel like it's difficult for you to make the right choice on what card to choose in Pick a Card readings, I have a link to my website down below where you can download a little PDF with a few tips on how to pick the right card for you each and every time. So this is completely free. This is a PDF that I created for you guys to make use of. The last time that I mentioned this, you guys, thousands of you went to check out the PDF. So I just wanted to mention it again. It's been like about a month since I brought it up, and I know a lot of you are new. So if you feel like that is something that could help, link is down below. So you guys, the 4 groups that you can choose from for your September 2019 prediction are as follows. We have the Diamond, we have the Shungite, we have the Peridot, as well as the Hiddenite. But as usual, you guys, the timestamps are down below in the description box, so you can click your corresponding timestamp to fast forward to the reading or readings of your choice. And yes, I said readings as in plural. If you feel drawn to 2, maybe even 3 groups, then feel free to tune into multiple readings, because sometimes you need a little more guidance than other times, and also your personal reading may be a mixture between multiple groups. So just keep that in mind if you feel like you truly cannot make up your mind between different groups. So yeah, you guys, this intro was a little longer than I wanted it to be. I hope that's okay with you guys. But I'm now going to get into the readings with the first group, which corresponds to the Diamond. Hello, group number 1, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Diamond. So group number 1, first and foremost, if you are not new to my channel, then you know that I always speak about why you've chosen this stone. So we all know how precious diamonds are, how valuable they are, and also how rare they are. They're not only the hardest mineral in the world, but they're probably also one of the most expensive. So the diamond, when held to your third eye, can promote clarity as well as increase your psychic power. Furthermore, the diamond promotes a courage as well as, higher self-esteem, and it stimulates all of your chakras opening up and all of your chakras being able to be healed. But let's move further into your reading to figure out what exactly is going on in your life in September of 2019. Okay, so group number 1, so far in your reading, we have Pea's Brave Flight, we have the Unending Sadness of Looking Back, we have the 2 Kittens, and we have the Quetzalcoatl and the Priestess of Time. So I'm gonna move straight into your reading. So one thing that I see in September of 2019 for you, group number 1, is that there's going to be a choice that you have to make, and it's going to be a really difficult choice for you. It's gonna be a choice where it's almost like you have to choose between these 2 kittens, and it's kind of going to maybe break your heart a little. So you might have to make a choice, say if you're adopting an animal or making a choice for an animal, but you may also have to choose in love, in your relationships, maybe in your line of work. But either way, I see that the decision is not going to be easy on you. It's going to be kind of difficult, and it's going to make you almost like obsess over past experiences that you've had. So in the unending sadness of looking back, one thing that I see is that this is going to bring up emotions of grief. This is going to bring up emotions that might even make you feel a little bit upset. But I feel like you ended up choosing the Diamond because what you truly need to do is channel your third eye, is channel your psychic abilities to calm yourself and to allow yourself to know when things are here for the better, because many choices that we're put before in life are often just for our benefit. But I want you to know that any sort of negative nostalgia, any sort of replay of the past that may bring up unwanted emotions, you should always keep in mind that that is in the past, and you shouldn't beat yourself up about it today or just during September of 2019. So if you feel fearful of making choices in September because of how your choices turned out that you made in the past, know that you still need to push forward. You can't let a wrong choice that you've made in the past stifle you to the point where you're too afraid to get things done in the now, as well as to create your dream life in the future. So in the Quetzalcoatl and the Priestess of Time, it is very clear that, you know, the time has come. You have to act now. And in Peace, Brave Flight, it's very clear that you have to stop letting fear get in between you and the things that you need to do. This time is not the time to let fear get in between. And that is why it's all about the brave flight. It's Peace first flight. It's her brave flight is where she knows that she needs to stop allowing fear to get in between her and the things that she's always wanted to do. So in the Quetzalcoatl and the Priestess of Time, I see that it's time for you to act now. And even if you're seeing this in August, know that you can already prepare yourself to act. So if you already hype yourself up for September and hype yourself up and know, like, in September, if I'm put before any sort of choice, I'm going to make the right choice. I'm going to make sure that I don't try and just say yes to everything, that I actually distinguish what it is that I want to choose and what it is that I want to leave behind and I'm willing to leave behind. So choices are so important because you can't always focus on everything. You can't always please everybody. You can't always have your hands in every situation. You can't always be in every situation. And sometimes choices can feel almost like you're letting people down, maybe letting yourself down, somebody closest to you. But choices need to be made because you only have a finite amount of time on this earth, as well as in a day, and you have to use it wisely. And sometimes you just don't have time for absolutely every possibility that life puts in front of you. But know that making good choices today, know that allowing yourself to use your time wisely today is going to create a better tomorrow. But let's move further into your reading, group number 1. So we have knowledge, we have opportunity knocks, we have face your fears, as well as resilience. So obviously this situation is going to bring up fears, and I see that fears are going to be faced in September. And you know, we're always facing fears, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, but September is definitely a month where you may be facing a lot more fears than you usually would, or you usually feel comfortable facing, but you know that you have to do it. Especially, you know, being here, watching this reading, knowing that your time has come, you have to act. I feel like it's just that push that you need to get things done. But what can help you manage fear, I see, is knowledge. And group number 1, I want you to know that knowledge is power. Knowledge is what sets you apart from so many people who are just paralyzed with fear and unable to move. What really sets you apart and allows you to do things confidently and to feel like you're not taking as big of a risk is knowledge. And it doesn't only give you that placebo effect of thinking your risk is smaller. Your risk actually is a lot smaller when you have knowledge. You know, when you seek out knowledge, when you learn before you actually do, when you actually take these opportunities, is when you can confidently manage risk, as well as get the best possible benefits and outcome out of situations. So in the past, as I said, the past may be affecting you now and stifling you when it comes to making choices, but you have to rise above those tribulations. And that is what the universe wants you to know. The universe wants you to know that in September there will be opportunities, but you still need new knowledge for these opportunities. And that is why it has showed up in your reading. So if there's, for instance, an opportunity to invest money or start a new venture, or basically just anything where you feel like, if I knew a little more about the stock market, if I knew a little bit more about starting my own business, like, oh, if I knew a little more of so-and-so opportunity, then I would feel more confident. I want you to keep in mind, group number 1, there's nothing stopping you from gaining knowledge, from gaining confidence, nothing but yourself. And as I already mentioned, knowledge is power, and knowledge is something that I strongly recommend for you to seek out in September, as it will help you to distinguish whether an opportunity is the right opportunity for you, and how you can take it and how you can make the best out of it. So let's move a little further into your reading. We have the Rado Crossite, we have the clear quartz, the Larimar, as well as the kyanite. Okay, so group number one thing that I see is that you have to allow yourself in September to just feel all your feels. That is what I see in the clear quartz. And in the Larimar, what I see is that you're going through a very sensitive time, through a time where your emotions may be running high, and that could definitely have to do with the fact that you have to make this choice between two things that are dear to your heart that you feel like, oh, I can't make a choice about this. I can't possibly choose. And one thing that I want you to know is that you have to be gentle with yourself. That's what we have in the rhodochrosite, as well as make time for self-care in the kyanite. So take time to really soothe yourself, soothe your emotions, and don't sort of discriminate your emotions. If you have emotions of a lot of sadness, allow yourself to feel it. One thing that I see in the unending sadness of looking back is that if you don't deal with this obsessive regret and obsessive grief, it is something that can fester and actually start eating away at your confidence and eating away at you and the beautiful individual that you are. So don't allow that to happen. Take time for self-care and know that sometimes you have to put that before everything, and sometimes you have to do that before you make the decision. You have to already like pre-groom yourself and tell yourself like, okay, in September, I'm going to have to make some tough choices to let go of some situations that I maybe don't feel 100% ready to let go of, but I have to prime myself. I have to already take that bath, relax, read that book, engage in self-care, and just make sure that I nurture myself emotionally, that I'm at a point where no matter what choice I make, that I know that I'm worthy, I know that I love myself, and this is a choice that I had to make, and I'm just doing what is best for me as well as everybody and everything around me. So group number one, pre-groom yourself for September and the things that await you that month. Make sure that you build up your confidence so that when you make the choice, you can just lean back and tell yourself, I had to make this choice and this is what I'm going with. I'm happy with my decision and I'm not going to beat myself up about it. So group number one, that is a reading that I received for you. I hope that you enjoyed it and I hope that you found it insightful, and I will see you in my next reading. Hello group number two, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Shungite group number two. So if you're not new to my channel, then you know that first and foremost, I like to speak to you about why you've chosen this stone. So the Shungite is said to be the stone of life. It helps boost your immune system as well as balance your mind and emotions. And another interesting thing about this mineral is that it helps protect you from harmful EMFs, which are electromagnetic fields. So if you feel like you may come in contact with too many of those, maybe worth a thought getting yourself a Shungite for your daily use. But you know, you may have also just been drawn to the stone because you liked its appearance. But let's move further into your reading to figure out exactly what's going on in your life in September of 2019. Okay, so group number two, in your reading we have a time to say goodbye, we have the Dragonling Garden, we have your imaginary friend, as well as the delicate fairy and her ferrets. So group number two, one thing that I see for you in September of 2019 is kind of like something ending and a completely new beginning. So in a time to say goodbye, I see that something is going to end for now. It could be a relationship, it could be, for instance, you know, a school year, something that has to do with your studies. Either way, it's going to allow a completely new world for you to open. So it's something rather big that is going to come to an end, something that may be of a lot of importance to you. And change, that kind of change can be painful. And that is one thing that I see in the delicate fairy and her ferrets. But keep in mind that change and evolution is natural and it's good. That is the only way that we can progress and get better and better. And yes, it can hurt. And that is one thing that I want to speak to you about group number two. I want you to keep in mind that you're only human, and human life, just humans in general, pain and letdowns is just a natural part of our existence and is something that we need to learn to deal with. But the better you learn to deal with it and the more you learn to embrace change, the easier it's going to get to accept and also be able to use change to your advantage and use change as something positive. So one thing that I see in your imaginary friend is I see that something out of your childhood is going to re-emerge during this time. Something is going to come up that you've gone through as a kid, and maybe as a kid you either saw it a lot more positively or not a lot more negatively, but right now you're going to be able to use that to your advantage. So what do I mean by that? For instance, if you got bullied for being different as a child, then all of a sudden now in September, you're going to realize that maybe there was a reason behind that. Maybe the fact that you are who you are today has to do with you being yourself regardless of being bullied, and being able to be stronger than that and still come out the other side shining and sparkling. And another way that this could resurface is seeing a situation in your childhood that was positive and that has now turned negative. So maybe as a kid, you always loved adventure or meeting new people or trying out new things out of your comfort zone. And now as an adult, you feel kind of scared, you feel kind of stifled, you feel a little bit like, I'm a creature of habit, I don't really want to do that. And that is where change is going to all of a sudden, it's going to strike a nerve where you're going to think to yourself, wow, I should learn from my childhood self. I should learn from who I was a long time ago, and I should try and get that energy back and get all of the amazing traits back from when I was a kid. So obviously a lot changes as you mature and as you become an adult. It's inevitable, but there's a lot that we can learn from children that we sort of forget, or that society sorts of pushes us into when we become adults and become older. So learn to have fun and to laugh a lot more. That is something that is astoundingly hard for adults. Kids have fun, laugh, play like up to 400 times a day or something like that. With adults, it's like we can barely get one good laugh in on some days. And I want you to really let that sink in. Like as kids, we just embrace laughter and having fun. And as adults, it's kind of like, oh, don't be so childish, like grow up. But do you really need to grow up? Do you really always need to be serious? Like, can we not have fun and see the light in situations and smile and laugh a little more? I mean, just some food for thought, but let's move further into your reading. In creative wonderment, I see that you have to follow your passions, but let's move further in. As I mentioned, I don't want to get ahead of everything. We have choices, we have the dragonfly, and we have friendship, as well as already mentioned creative wonderment. So following your passions is one thing that I see you needing to reignite in September, and probably the reason for that is the fact that it will allow you to focus on what is really important. So oftentimes when we follow our passions and the things that we're sort of meant to do, but we may have forgotten about, that is when we all of a sudden remember like, hey, I haven't been spending as much time with my friends as I should, with the people who are closest to me, the people who really matter. And then you're going to slowly ease yourself back into spending more time with friends, more time with family, more time just nurturing those relationships, because sometimes we can get really busy and caught up that we forget how important they are. But through making sure that you're following what you're passionate about, you're going to start to realize like, hey, I'm passionate about this, but I'm also passionate about my family and my friends. How come I haven't been taking care of those relationships as well as I could? So that is one thing that I see happening. And indeed, Dragonfly, living life to the fullest is coming up for you in September. So maybe there's some sort of party or festivity that you can partake in, and I want you to make the best possible choice, which is to go, which is to say yes and just give yourself that time out, that time to party and have fun. Especially if you work a lot, especially if you're somebody who is like, oh, it's just a waste of time. I could be cleaning up in that time, I could be working, I could be doing literally anything else but living in the moment and having fun. Know that, that means that you're a very responsible person. You're the kind of person who also wants to keep themselves safe, which is not a bad thing, but sometimes you have to get out. Sometimes you have to allow yourself to not be irresponsible, but allow yourself to just be free, allow yourself to enjoy the moment, and also do some like crazy wild things. I mean, you don't want to look back in 10, 20, 30, 40 years and not be able to tell your kids, your grandkids, a friend, that story about when you were younger and when you did this crazy thing and it resulted in you meeting the love of your life, or you starting your own business, or it just resulted in a lot of tears and turmoil. Whatever the outcome may be of, a crazy night out or just some partying and having fun, it's always a valuable lesson, and it's probably most likely going to be a story worth telling. And it's important for us to all have some stories to tell about when we let loose and when we really, we're just able to do something crazy. So don't deprive yourself of all of those experiences. So let's move further in. We have the Peridot, we have the titanium rainbow quartz, we have the ruby, as well as the charoite. So group number 2, in September of 2019, there's a lot going on. There are a lot of different facets that I see here, a lot of different layers and dimensions. And I want you to know that that is completely okay. But what is essential is to keep an eye on your spiritual protection. That is one thing that I see in the charoite. You have to keep in mind that as long as you stay true to your spirituality, as long as you make that sort of like the forefront of your choices and your decisions, then you will be overall protected. So what I mean by that is always making the best possible choices when it comes to, for instance, how you react with people, acting with love and kindness. That is the best possible choice. That is way better than, for instance, getting upset or butthurt, just as an example. Also in the ruby, one thing that I see is that it's okay for you to reach out for emotional as well as spiritual support, because that can heal you in September a lot easier than trying to do things by yourself. So group number 2, don't feel like a burden. Don't feel like you cannot reach out. If you feel like you need more support, then reach out to somebody, send them a message, call them, go over to their house. If it's, a friend or just somebody you look up to, feel free to get in contact with them. The worst thing that could happen is that they don't reply or that they don't have time in that very moment. Whichever case, you could reschedule or just reach out to somebody else. It doesn't really matter so much who you reach out to or how you reach out. It's just important that you know when you need support and that you try and make sure that you get the support in whichever form will help you. So obviously spiritual support is something that is not always easy to find, and I know a lot of you are also religious who watch my videos, and I know it can be hard to talk to people, especially like friends and family, about the fact that you feel supported through watching pick a card reading videos, which I always find it so important to just do what makes you feel good, what makes you feel uplifted and motivated. And if you feel like you can learn something about yourself, maybe even more about your religion and the depths of your religion through pick a card reading videos, then that is a really positive, beautiful outcome out of a place where you maybe didn't expect all of this depth and help to come from. So allow yourself to be open-minded when it comes to that, and don't discriminate what sources you get support from and where those sources could help you in. So as I mentioned, you may feel like pick a card reading videos help you in your relationships, maybe even in your approach to your religion. So last but not least, in the Peridot, one thing that I see is that in September of 2019, there is a lot of potential for you to break free from any sort of patterns that you have, from any sort of habits that aren't necessarily helpful. So if you're, for instance, a smoker, or you have sort of like this pattern of overeating in certain situations when you get emotional, for instance, or just for getting in contact with the wrong crowd of people, one thing that I see is that through nurturing your existing friendships, they can help you with these lessons. When you talk to the people who you know have been with you for a long time, who you know only have your best interests at heart, you can truly communicate with them what your fears are, what the things are that you struggle with, and they will be able to give you tips as well as support to break those patterns. So group number 2, as I already mentioned, if you need support, seek out support. Seek out support in your community with the people who are already in your life. Seek out support spiritually with anything that uplifts you. It could be more card reading videos. It could be spiritual networks on the internet, as well as actual spiritual meetups, things like yoga classes, meditation classes. whatever it is, get creative with your support system. Get creative when it comes to how you get the most out of September of 2019. Hello, group number 3, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Peridot. So group number 3, first and foremost, I want to speak to you about why you may have chosen this mineral in particular, aside from the fact that maybe you've heard of it or you've just liked its appearance. So group number 3, the Peridot is for anybody who is suffering from depression as well as anger issues. This stone can truly help with that. And wearing a Peridot can bring more prosperity and happiness into your life. But let's move further into your reading to figure out exactly what's going on for you in September of 2019. Okay, so group number 3, in your reading we have the Golden Phoenix, we have Once Upon a Midnight Dreary, we have the Sacred Beetle Armor, as well as Deep Dark Sea Mermaid. So one thing that I see in September of 2019 is that the questions that you've been asking yourself, the things that have still remained a mystery to you, where you feel like you need an answer but you don't know how to get that answer, I see that you're going to find solutions for your issues and just the things that have been keeping you up at night in places where you never expected them to be. So the Deep Dark Sea Mermaid obviously is a creature of the deep dark sea, and as you know, the deeper you go down in the ocean, the less light comes in and the more like strange the creatures get down there. So I want you to know that September is going to be sort of like a deep sea dive for you. You're going to be able to get answers in those places alongside strange situations. I don't want to say creatures because there aren't going to be strange creatures in your life, but just alongside, you know, strange places in your head, your mind, where you didn't expect to find the answers that you were looking for, and all of a sudden you're going to discover, you know, completely new potential when it comes to that part of yourself. So be open to that and don't be afraid to also delve into some shadow work. So with shadow work, I mean, you know, delving into the parts of yourself that you're maybe a little bit afraid to delve into or that you're not that happy about. So if you feel like you're maybe a little bit afraid to explore the depths of why it's hard for you to maintain relationships, or the depths of why you're having issues financially or saving, you know, those are obviously all just suggestions, they're just examples. Then that is something that I want you to explore, because it might get you to a point where you all of a sudden make those connections where you're like, wow, you know, because I never learned how to do finances, because I never learned how to take care of myself emotionally and how to have healthy relationships due to my past or due to things that have went on in my childhood and within my family. That is affecting me right now. And one thing that I see is that is not going to like make you weaker or anything. That is sort of going to give you a lot more ideas, a lot more creativity. That is what I see Once Upon a Midnight Dreary. But most importantly, in the Sacred Beetle Armor, what I see is that is going to give you sort of like a shield. It's going to give you extra armor. It's going to give you extra protection from you not knowing what is wrong with yourself. So what do I mean by that? I know it sounds really weird, but group number 3, do you ever just think to yourself like, you know, what is wrong with me? Why can't I just get my crap together? Why can't I just make things work? And I see that you exploring the depths of yourself is going to give you that sort of shield and armor where you're like, I can't deal with X, Y, and Z very well, and it is because this happened in my life. And it's going to give you an explanation and something to lean on that you can then work with. So moving further into your reading, what I see in September is, as I said, creativity can be channeled, but also that something is going to burst back into your life, something that you thought was over with. So obviously, you know, this is not a love prediction, but as I said, look out for the love prediction, but it could of course be something in the romantic realms, something coming back to life that you didn't expect there. But it could also be a situation like a friendship that you had been done with a long time ago. So group number 3, allow yourself to be very careful with anybody who's trying to make a re-entrance or reappearance in your life, because if they have been removed from your life, there's probably a reason why. Also, if there's sort of like a bad habit that's trying to enter your life again, if you've been doing really well, being healthy, and all of a sudden there's this kind of like good looking piece of cake. There's this night out that you feel like you might get out of control a little bit with drinking, just partying. Try and keep yourself away from that and try and distract yourself with, you know, creativity and just artistic expression, because in September I see that that is something that is going to flow really well and really easily for you. And, you know, just having this outlet can help balance you a lot. Having this outlet can make you feel like I'm not missing out, because if FOMO is something that is real for you, definitely try and focus on artistic flow, artistic outlets that allow you to be in the moment, doing something that is beneficial for you, doing something that is good for you mentally. So let's move further into your reading, group number 3. We have Archangel Gabriel, we have illusion, we have leadership, as well as moving forward. So there's definitely positive change that is going to push forward. Okay, group number 3. I haven't mentioned that yet, but with leadership, with you setting your goals, your aims, your aspirations high, it's going to give you a jolt forward. It's going to push you forward in a very positive way. So get ready for positive change. Arm yourself for it. Make sure you're ready for it, and that you know, like, if something is trying to make that reappearance, you're going to avoid it at all costs. So in Archangel Gabriel, what I see is that there's going to be some sort of message of hope and of creativity. So as I mentioned, creativity is one thing at the core of September, but I want you to see this messenger as not needing to be Archangel Gabriel. This messenger can come in various forms. So the universe may, for instance, send something to you like a new brush set that you can draw with, or a new sort of platform where you feel like you can blog, where you can create something where that sparks hope, where you're like, wow, you know, if I actually delve into all of my hidden talents, this could be something. I could make something out of myself. So look out for the signs and know that your angel doesn't need to be Archangel Gabriel. Your angel could be a spirit of a past loved one. It could be your favorite pet or the spirit of your favorite pet. It could just be signs that you're looking out for. You know, for instance, in numerology, if you keep seeing the same numbers, those could all be indications of what it is that you should be focusing on. So keep an eye out for that, and don't feel like you're crazy, because synchronicities do happen and they're unexplained just because, you know, we have not found a scientific sort of way to say why this is happening. But that doesn't mean that these synchronicities don't have meaning. You get where I'm going, group number 3? So in illusion, that is something that I feel like you need to break through. That is something that maybe you're still struggling with, especially when it comes to spirituality, where you feel like often, no, rationally speaking, this is just a coincidence. This doesn't have a deeper meaning. And I want you to know that if you feel like something has a deeper meaning, if you feel with your third eye that this is something that, no, you know, there's a reason why this has happened, do not brush over it and do not take signs for granted, because they're not illusions. They're here for a reason. It's just that we haven't found a plausible way to explain it. But just by feeling, just by sort of tuning into your instinct, you can explain a lot of things to yourself and why they might be happening without needing a scientific approach. So moving into your reading, we have the sodalite, we have the citrine, we have the jade, as well as the rubellite. So for September of 2019, I definitely see that, you know, things are causing unnecessary worries for you, and they're unnecessary for a reason. And I want you to know that what can truly help you sort of get over worries and not make you feel so stressed out is to socialize and join in with other people. Make time to spend time with supportive friends. And if you feel like you need a little bit of a different friend group, try and join a new class at your gym, maybe a yoga class, maybe a meditation class, just where you can be with like-minded people. And also focus on the recovery of your health. One thing that I feel like is here, group number 3, is this presence of you maybe not taking care of yourself as well as you could, or just like kind of blocked chakras. That is one thing that I sense in your reading. And I feel like maybe your enthusiasm, your energy, your motivation, maybe it's been like a little bit low because the things that you're passionate about are hard for you to follow. The things that you're passionate about are maybe taking the back seat right now. And in the Jade, I want you to recover any of that emotional sort of hurt and distance from yourself and the things that you love. I want you to focus on wellness, and I want you to know that wellness has everything to do with health, and it has everything to do with healing your chakras as well as, you know, just healing your energy. So look into energy healing and how you can, you know, participate maybe in energy healing near you, just in order to create this sort of passion and purpose going together. Only you know what you feel is your passion and what feels right for you. So sometimes you just need to build yourself back up, because when you're not working in the field that you're passionate about, or you feel like there are a lot of passions of yours that you're missing out to or not completely exploring, it can really bring down your mood, and it can really make you feel like your life isn't as purposeful as it is. But group number 3, I want you to know that your life is purposeful. You're here for a reason, and sometimes those connections can get a little lost. But there's nothing wrong with taking time in September of 2019 to focus on your wellness as well as reconnecting your passion with your purpose. So group number 3, that is the reading that I received for you. I hope that you enjoyed it and found it insightful, and I will see you in my next reading. Hello, group number 4, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Hiddenite. So group number 4, the Hiddenite encourages bringing more joy, spontaneity, and happiness into your life. So you may have chosen this stone first and foremost for its looks, but maybe you just also need more of those factors in your life. Another thing that the Hiddenite is known to support is new beginning as well as growth and evolution. So there may be a period of a lot of change in September. There may be things shifting, a lot of evolving going on, and the Hiddenite is here for it. The Hiddenite is here to support you and give you all of those positive vibes that you need. Group number 4, let's see what new beginnings await you in September of 2019. Okay, so group number 4, in your reading we have the Black Cat, we have Miss Spiderweb, we have Kitsune, we have the Fairy Ring. So let's move straight into your readings. What I see for September of 2019 is new skills and sort of rapid improvement. In the Fairy Ring, this may be news that you've been waiting for. You may have been waiting for a situation in your life to improve, to move forward quickly, and for you to figure out how to deal with things and how to cope. So group number 4, I definitely see that sort of energy here. I see that in September, it's gonna be almost like, you know, in a ring, in a circus ring, where you feel like now you're finally confident and you can finally be in the ring and be the one performing and living their best life. So see your performance in September as ready, so to say. Know that that is so important for you. As in the Black Cat, I feel like things may have been out of balance, where you're not trusting yourself as much, you're not believing in yourself as much. There's sort of lost magic, there's atonement, and there is a situation that needs to be readjusted, which the Fairy Ring is here to do for you. So allow that to be embraced, and don't be afraid to be also like the center of attention, and to be the one who's in the spotlight, to allow yourself to shine. So in Miss Spiderweb, I want you to be watchful, group number 4, as well as in Kitsune. I want you to know that not everybody is trustworthy, okay? And group number 4, it pains me to say this in your reading, but you have to reconsider your alliances. You have to reconsider some of the situations in your life. So maybe there is a friendship that you should be reconsidering, or just an alliance of some sort. It could be a work relationship or friendship. And in September, they're going to make it very clear whether they're trustworthy or not. And in Kitsune, that is one thing that I see. They will show you whether they're trustworthy, but whether you realize it or not, that is in the end up to you. And I don't want you to see life through rose gold glasses. I want you to see life for what it is and people for who they are, because you may be the kind of person who sometimes is in denial, and I want you to watch out for that in September. People show you who they are as well as what their true intentions are. And when they show you little tidbits of that, believe it before it's too late. Because a lot of us see the signs, but we kind of push them to the side and just tell ourselves that everything is okay. And then before we know it, we feel used, we feel abused, we feel hurt, we feel disrespected. Meanwhile, we've known all along, like, this person, I gotta be careful and watch out. So use this situation to form new connections. Use this situation to also nourish the connections that are already here. Be open to establishing new friendships, as well as just, giving new people a chance, because whenever there's an ending of a situation, there's an ending of an old cycle, an old relationship, an old friendship, you make space for a new one. So you might as well fill it up with somebody who is amazing and somebody who is here for your time, for you to shine and for you to be the center of your life and for things to be improving. So let's move further into your reading, group number 4. We have the owl, we have vacation, we have the 7 deadly sins, as well as go with the flow. So one thing that I see for you, group number 4, for September, is that things are going to be put in front of you that are maybe not the nicest things to see. So as I said, it could be a situation with a person who is not who you thought they were, who is kind of like taking up more chances than they deserve. But it also could be something where you see like how destructive humanity is and how many destructive traits humanity truly has. And that can inspire you to see things, that can inspire you to sort of take trips around the world. And that is what I see in vacation. It's time to adventure, it's time to see something else, and it's time for you to look past what society keeps us in, the bubble that society tries to keep us in. So if you feel like you've been kept in a very safe and sheltered bubble, one thing that I see is that in September, there's going to be some sort of it could be a news article, it could be a documentary, it could be just something that is shared with you through somebody else of a lot of turmoil and pain and sadness, where you're like, wow, I really don't know what is going on in this world. I really had no idea how bad it is for some people and how destructive some humans and some of our traits can be. And that can inspire you to travel and help and follow your intuition, because a lot of us, we intuitively, especially when we're empaths and we hear of suffering, be it with humans or animals or just the planet, we intuitively think to ourselves, how can I help? How can I do something to make the situation better? And oftentimes we stop at that though. And I don't want you to stop at that this time. I want you to go with wherever things drift you. So if you all of a sudden feel this urge to, join a nonprofit organization, or you all of a sudden feel this urge to leave your house and pick up trash or go to a shelter, even if it's just to look at animals and consider taking an animal home that needs a home, do it. Allow yourself to go with whatever is happening, with whatever your intuition is trying to push you towards, because your intuition can only do so much. It can only sort of lead the way, it can only sort of gently nudge you towards something, but your intuition is never going to be somebody who's like a motivational speaker who stands in front of you and just screams in your face, you know what I mean? So you have to, in the end, be your motivational speaker, your motivational guide, and just a leader who says, okay, my intuition is telling me to go help out at this homeless shelter, go help out by donating things. So I need to get up and go and do that. So take the lead on that and allow yourself to see life for what it is and see what other people are going through, and to flex that empathetic muscle to turn all of those things that are destructive in this world into situations where you can help, where you can learn, and where you can be of great value. So last but not least, we have your crystals, group number 4. So we have the calcite, we have the turquoise, we have the dolomite, as well as the yellow jasper. A very colorful bunch for you. So group number 4, what I see for September of 2019 is that you have to like utilize your strength and your power and try to not be so worried about control. Let go of any sort of control issues that you may have. Let go of the fear of other people controlling you, as well as situations getting out of control in your life. And sometimes we sort of compensate this fear of control with something else. So one thing that is very well known is, for instance, if you feel like you have control issues and your life is spinning out of control, that can show by, you know, obsessive eating or like obsessive patterns just when it comes to food, eating disorders, etc. But it can also be shown in different like compulsive ways in which people behave. So if you feel like you are dealing with control issues, or somebody closest to you is, it's important to feel safe. It's important to allow that person to know, like, hey, you don't even always need to have everything together. You don't always need to have a plan. You don't always need to have all of the answers. It's just important for you to make sure that you're trying your best, but at the same time, you know, stay safe and don't overcompensate, because it's better to just admit to yourself that you have issues with control rather than allowing that to migrate into a different situation, as I explained earlier. So the calcite, I see definitely like multitasking being something that you have to do, and it could be really like difficult to multitask, and it can also be very bad for business and just for your life to be multitasking. So know that multitasking doesn't mean that you're getting more done. Oftentimes you're not really getting more done, and people forget that multitasking just means that you're switching frequently between 2 or more tasks. So that usually results in work not being as good. It usually results in things not getting done as well as they could. So keep in mind that sometimes instead of multitasking, it is best to just focus on one thing and get it done right, if you know what I mean. And that way you can also get into your flow state. You can get into a state where you're completely submerged in the task at hand, and you're able to relax and not feel like, oh, I need to be here, I need to be there, I need to be everywhere, you know? So in the turquoise, I want you to realize that September is a month of becoming more clear about your spiritual path, becoming more clear about the things that you want, the things that you don't want, following your intuition, realizing that maybe you're more of an empath than you ever thought, and just seeing all of the potential that you have to actually make a change in this world. And I know we always think like, oh, you know, well, it's just little old me, but it's not just little old you, you know? Everybody, each individual can have an impact in this world if only you believe in yourself and you actually use your life purpose for good, because you can touch hundreds, thousands, maybe even millions of lives, depending on how you use all of the things that you're good at, all of the things that you're passionate about, and depending on how you actually use your purpose. So if your purpose is to help people, to heal people, to, you know, just give people sort of emotional support, try and find a way how you can make the most and greatest thing out of it. So as I said, humanity's destructive traits are something that are going to become clear to you, but you're also going to realize like, hey, if I, for instance, start a YouTube channel and show people how to do DIY things, I can lessen the ecological footprint, I can help people save money and have fun at the same time. Or if you're, for instance, thinking to yourself, oh, well, I work in the medical field, or I'm a teacher, or I help children in some form. What you could do is maybe write a blog, you could write a short book, maybe even a long book, and you can publish that to help other people, to touch other people's lives. You can give courses, seminars, some sort of advice that is needed out there. You can give your knowledge to the world in a way that it benefits a lot of people. So allow that to be something that you think of, something that you maybe even embark on in September, and stay strong in what you believe in. So if you believe in helping humans, if you believe in helping animals, If you know that your purpose is greater than what you're doing, stay strong in your faith about that, because the outcome of your life and the outcome of where your purpose takes you depends on your mindset. If you don't truly believe, and if you're not positive and willing to dedicate your time, dedicate yourself emotionally and spiritually to your cause, just in order to make a change in your life and other people's lives, then obviously the outcome won't be as good as it could be. But if you're positive, if you're willing to put in work, and if you know that your purpose can have an amazing impact in this world as well as your life, and obviously you're going to be able to get a lot further to reaching your goals as well as having an impact on this planet. So group number 4, that is the reading that I received for you. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you found it insightful, and I will see you in my next reading.